isn't a team with talent and experience. It's that right now they're not really a team in how they've been playing, and that's been the problem, is that great individual opportunities, actual team follow-through, a bit lacking.
So Revival, they look to be rolling out on this triple DPS with Boger on that solo Orisa main tank. Wave check continuing to run Sombra Goat setup that they've been running throughout all the series and a lot through this Contenders. So they're just waiting for Revival to get in here as they swap Boger onto the Winston now, rather than that Orisa. Boger on that Winston, it gives them a lot better ability to control the space and set up the dives, but they're also not nearly as strong as the point.
Okay, first pick off to Revival, but this time it's Hell. This should be a great opening for Revival. All they have to do, don't overextend, just play slow, flex the advantage that you have from having a 6-on-5 here. Moving in over to the point, Vic in the sky, Maniton on the ground. And so far, this is a much better start here for Revival, but they also have to hurry up. They haven't gotten anyone after the early pickoff, and Helm's back.
Wavecheck continuing to do great at avoiding the fights when they're down a player and making sure to play the angles. Helm, he's back on this Winston now. But with Jade going down, there's no Brigitte. There's no one to really stop all of these DPS players.
2 pickoffs extra for Revival. The 6-on-4 Helm stuck taking cover in the cafe, and already 80%. Wavecheck gonna have to put some bodies on the point here if they want to delay any further. And Vic, more than willing to punish over the top. A much better opening for Revival.
That was clean. It wasn't the fastest offense, but it was very quick. It was still much cleaner than what we've seen from him in the past.
Oh, no.
He's going to get hacked, but he should be able to clean this up.
Well, also the pocket from Mercy in the back prevents that from getting ugly in any way, shape, or form, where some Rivers Farah, that actually could have went iced away without the pocket.
Revival, they're now playing the point. They will have EMP, they will have double support as well, so a lot of ults available for them. But Wave Check, an EMP of their own, if they can just catch that Fair Mercy early and ground them, they could definitely win this fight.
Wave Check looking reset up, they drop the EMP, they ground the Farah, but the counter EMP out the other way strikes all of Wave Check on the outside. And Maniton, more than willing to get the follow through on the other side to Vic. Back into the sky, Barrage ready, drops it on down. Gonna pick up essentially 2. And Vic and Maniton doing quite a bit of work.
I have to give a lot of credit to Paintbrush there as well, where he sees the EMP coming into the play, and Valk is one of those ults which is very, very strong against the EMP because it means that you can't fall to the ground when you're caught. It means you can constantly run around and give that healing, give that damage boost to all those players on the field. So good reaction from Paintbrush, making sure to keep himself in the air, keep his team up. Wave Check, they're going to have to re-enter this point, but they will have double support ult, they will have that primal, so a lot of sustain available for them.
Boger swapping the other side, looking to deny Wave Check entry back out into the main playing field. Boger eating a lot of damage as a result, gonna leap on back. So time has been bought, but Wave Check, they're back on out. Health can drop the primal of his own, and not really near Revival at all. Most of this primal falling to the wayside.
Revival just going to play slow right now. They're just going to play slow because they're close to EMP Barrage here. Again, Juby, he needs to make sure not to get caught. Needs to be hiding. Because of right now, Fly, he's looking for his EMP. They beat early.
Fly moves forward, drops EMP, stripping off the other side. And Apply more than able to go over, deals with Helm. And this has been much better for Revival. A really good counter engage off the EMP. And this will lead to them getting point B here in Hollywood.
That's what we call a risk versus reward player. Maybe just mistiming the ult tracking there for Wave Check. If they knew that the EMP was up, but they decided, well, maybe we beat into them and get an early frag, that's possible. But it could have been mistiming the ult because you almost never want to beat before an EMP because it was just stripped. The counter engage was available and they just lose all the barriers.
Revival in a good spot here for Ultimate Reserve. Wave Check drained, but they do have the EMP. And EMP engages, of course, sometimes defy the rules of ult economy.
Let's see if Paintbrush can dodge this again. He has that Valkyrie available.
EMP used immediately. This time it does hit Paintbrush, puts him on the ground. Vic focus fired immediately after the EMP, held there in the follow through. And 6-on-4 for Wave Check. Fly getting some decent counterfire there, even in a fight that might be lost for Revival. It still means they're going to have EMP a lot quicker, and for Revival, you're barely into the point. That's still fine.
Wave Check, they stall the point a bit, but they've used their big ult. They swapped Ice onto the Zarya now. I don't think the Zarya is the right play into this. I think 3-3 into this triple DPS, it's very tough to find value, but also, there's no Hammond. So you need somebody to really pressure out this Winston. You need somebody to pressure out this Winston more effectively than what the Sombra is doing. I can't fault them too much, but they don't have any ults. Revival, they're moving forward. They have EMP Barrage early. Nano onto Helv. Can he get anything?
Well, it's a move they've gone to a lot, the Nano Helv. Meanwhile, Tvik goes for the Barrage. Slept mid-Nano Barrage. It's one way of dealing with it. Still 5-on-5, both Nanos fading. Helv, though, and Real Danger just knocked deep in the enemy territory. Still getting pocketed. Finally going to fall, but Waltz goes in. Tvik picked off, and Revival wounded to the degree that they might have to wait a little bit before going back in.
Revival, they get the res. They're going to look to re-enter here. You see Boger pressuring the point. And for Revival, they just don't have a lot of ult stock. They have nothing really to break through this hold right now for Wave Check. They're looking for picks. They're looking to get anything out early. The Dragon's going to come out looking to split Wave Check.
Tvik over the top. Heavy pressure on him from multiple sides. Dragging down the middle, courtesy of Manitin. Wave Check going to respond here. Barrier out. Helv finds one. Tvik going in deep. Ends up getting punished. Slept and dispatch.
And Helv found two as well. Helv able to find two there versus an extremely mobile Revival comp. Helv getting continuous value as Reinhardt versus triple DPS is kind of insane when you think about how they can just run away from you. Revival now, they're going to make some swaps. No more triple DPS. They're going to the Sombra Goats. About to have that EMP available for apply. About to have that Nano. And when you look at Wave Check here, CP, what's very important to watch, Panic, he can't get caught. They're going to need the Nano to survive. They're going to need this Nano.
This is make or break for Revival, the fight they must win between the EMP and Nano. Oh, Apply gets caught! Almost loses the EMP as a result. Still drops the EMP, but it's under pressure, and it's not a very good one.
Why? I mean, even if he dies there, they still have another fight they can set up that'd be a lot better. Now they've lost the EMP fight. They've lost the EMP. A very risky EMP there. There was really no reason to have to commit, even if you die.
It was almost as if Terror just took over Apply's brain there, where you're totally right. The EMP wasn't needed to be invested there. Okay, you get caught out. Be lucky that you didn't use EMP and lose it outright. But then you just drop EMP immediately, and it's not a very good one as Boger takes a snooze.
I mean, they forced Nano. They forced the Nano out of panic. But now you've lost your most important ult in this composition for Revival, and they're going to have to walk into a grab. They're going to have to walk into a setup where they can't catch iced early with EMP or have it for a post fight. They just don't have any of their big ults.
Wave Check is a much stronger spot here. Revival already passed one benchmark. They won't be able to finish with time over a minute, and frankly, they'll be lucky to finish at all.
So Revival, they've committed to just poking for these ults. They know that Ice does have the grab. They've got this early hack, although there's no grab available. They're trying to finish anyone they can.
Again, drop the Shatter. Ice. Graviton reserve. Drops the Graviton. Pulling in several. Shatter response from Boger. Puts Ice onto the ground. Wave Check not have this here yet. Revival moving in with the rally. However, they lose Boger. Helv able to back on out. Ends up falling. Revival starting to dominate the payload little by little here. Ice in real danger here up against the world. Revival need one or two more. They drop the Graviton on the payload. They're going to deal with the last few remnants, and Revival should be able to finish this out. Nano Diva not in time, but it took them every last bit of time bank to get to the end. And now Wave Check's in a really good spot for the next round.
Finishing out there in the end. They had the sustain they needed. Luckily, Manitin also built out grab incredibly quickly. We stayed high energy the entire fight. And you're still seeing some of those cohesion issues, some of those unity issues with Revival. But they do manage to finish the map now. And Wave Check, they're going to be on this offense. They're going to have plenty of opportunity to, at the very least, equalize this time, because it's by no means blazingly fast if you don't finish with any time left.
No, and then they also have the classic condition of just going forward and finishing with time over a minute, which would give them attack, and that would actually end the game, in fact. If Wave Check finishes the game with over a minute, Revival cannot win the series. So this is a bit problematic for Revival, to put it mildly.
Yep, Wave Check, they just don't need, all they have to do is just finish the map with time left, and I think that they're in a very good position here. So they know their win condition, they know what they have to do, and it's not even necessarily, they don't have to climb any crazy mountains. They just have to play as consistently as they've been playing all series.
So Revival, best case scenario here, of course, would just be a stronghold on point A, not having to deal with time scenarios. Worst case scenario would be Wave Check, just speed running through points A and B. Because Revival, even if they're not able to stop Wave Check from capping, they at least need to drain the clock to under a minute, which can be easier said than done for how things have been going so far for the Revival defense.
Wavecheck getting ready to roll out here. You see Revivals, they're playing that triple DPS solo tank defense. They're going to have Boger be the one to contest the point and hope that their roaming DPS players are going to be finding value, finding picks on these flanks. Wavecheck, they see this, and it looks like now that they swapped Jade onto the Brigade, they're probably just going to go Sombra Goats, take this fight directly into the point. That's exactly what they're going to be doing. Are they swapping again? No. Okay, they're putting... Okay, yeah, so they're not swapping again. They're definitely going Sombra Goats, putting Panic onto the Moira. So no easily diveable targets on this backline for Wavecheck. And they have the ability to just move forward here, put a lot of point presence.
That's exactly what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to be wasting a whole lot of time on rotations. I think they're going to let cooldowns reset and immediately head up and over into the point. The Wavecheck, they're taking a lot of time. Already about a minute burned off the clock. They do go for a longer, more cafe-centered rotation. And this gives Vic more time to rain in rockets over the top.
And apply. I mean, he's 50% to the EMP already. When the more rotations you have, the more likely it is for the Sombra to continue farm that ult. A lot of early presence here for Wavecheck, though, now that they've made it to that point.
Man to the point, they get one tick for free. Revival spots it to them. Vic, though, punishes Helv. Helv goes deep. 2 pickoffs here for Revival. And now they have to be careful not to give up another tick on the point. They need to get bodies back over. And Wavecheck, they're not even going to contest anymore. They're backing out. 1 tick, but nothing more.
It's a good fight for Revival. Giving up ticks there for building up those ults and taking time off the clock, it's definitely something you're willing to trade for. They already have EMP Barrage. They're getting close to their support ults. And for Wavecheck, I actually don't agree with these rotations. It doesn't matter as much anymore since the Fly already has the EMP, so they're not going to be necessarily giving up ult charge. But I don't really think they have to be looking for the rotations because they're not really looking to deny space for Revival. I mean, they just need to try to set up and engage.
I mean, to a degree, I think they're just giving a bit of respect to Tvik, who's had pretty good Pharah pressure here so far, but at some point, you gotta go.
Wavecheck, they're stacked up here. They're going to look to engage right now. EMP's out, but it doesn't catch Panic.
They move in directly to EMP. Helv, focus fire down immediately. Tvik still holding onto the barrage if necessary, and the way this fight is going, it might not be. Wavecheck, they end up taking refuge into the cafe, but they're split even still, and just a very, very decisive fight for Revival, and seeing more shades of round 1 back on control where Revival looks like they were going to run away with the series.
So Revival using 2 ults in that fight. Wavecheck only using the Coalescence. They have now their win condition fight. This is definitely what they're going to be looking to set up to take this point. EMP rally. The tank ult's about to come out. This is where they need to walk forward aggressively here. They need to find this strong engage. They don't have to worry about rotations because they can't feed ult charge to Apply. They need to get in here before another EMP is up because Apply is 70% almost to another EMP. They need to go fast.
Wavecheck needs attempts on the point. This time they're going to move in. They drop the EMP early, and they take down Apply. Tvik, counter barrage in. Nano onto Tvik. It's all up to him now. Double 2 here so far, looking for a little bit more. Bomb in from Wavecheck. Does make good space. Boger and Apply both down. Now it's up to Manton Tvik to hold down the fort while respawns come back in. Meanwhile, Wavecheck could be looking to head back in as soon as possible. Final 42 seconds for them.
And they weren't able to, there was a solo EMP onto Boger. They didn't even deny the supercharger there either. They have to enter this point, and they're going to have to deal with the EMP still. The EMP Valk going to be up for Revival. Juby, he needs to hide here again. He can't get caught. He needs that beat to come out to save his team from this EMP, which is likely going to be used to stop the engage.
Wavecheck going for one last super long rotation as Helv just gets drilled by rockets on the way in. Has to primal pretty early. Juby, meanwhile, under pressure from Sombra Apply. Warps back, drops the EMP. And Tvik with the finisher. The barrage over the top of 2. Revival just surgical here on point A. And we're talking about victory conditions where we said easiest way, point A hold. They did just that. We still have ourselves a series.
Apply playing the Sombra masterfully there on that defense. That last play where he finds Juby, gets the early scout, drops the hack, and then goes for the EMP knowing there won't be a beat, sets up Tvik perfectly because the EMP is out, so there's no cooldown to deal with Tvik. They don't have a beat to keep this team for the Wavecheck to stay alive through that barrage. Very well played from Apply, who has definitely had some extremely good moments in this series. He's had a somewhat of a quiet season at times, but this series has been great.
Also, in terms of Pharah pressure, I thought that it was a much better defense here from Tvik, where, what did we see there? Good rockets all the way through, and what was that doing to Wavecheck? Wavecheck felt the need to rotate, and the reality is Wavecheck lost 3, if not 4, potential team fights just constantly looking for one really good team fight that simply never materialized.
Revival picking up Hollywood now, so there is a real chance for them to get this reverse sweep. They're not out of the series just yet. We're getting into our 4th half of the series very soon. And that is how Revival really needs to be playing. And that's the type of clean play that we really want to see from Revival. Their offense may not have been perfect, but their defense was great. They played split. They didn't overcommit at the point 8 points. They got the poke. They got the pressure they needed. You could argue a lot of that was just because Wavecheck was taking some very extra rotations that they didn't necessarily need, but they still took advantage.
I think that part of why that looks so good for Revival as well, though, isn't necessarily that they were fixing the mistakes we saw earlier in the series, but rather because Wavecheck was trying to come in a weird sense, like all clumped together, but also trying to dive in. What would happen is that Helv would basically be dead super early from rocket spam. Apply was getting really good pressure, building EMPs quickly, and Wavecheck never had a good initiation, and the damage they took from basically the first 10 seconds of any fight was so overwhelming that it didn't really matter in regards to Revival's focus fire at that point. They simply just won.
Sure, just getting ready for both squads to get in here, get back into the lobby, and get set up. And Revival looks likely that they're probably going to be staying on this triple DPS comp for further moving forward. It's where they've really looked best throughout the season. It's sort of that dichotomy now that we've had in this meta before the 2-2 lock comes into play for playoffs, is that there are the teams that are you triple DPS focused, or are you more of a 3-3 or /Stomper Goods focus, right? There is very much a divergence, a split between a lot of these team mentalities where you just you don't have the players with the depth, or you simply just don't have the mentality as a roster to be very 3-3 oriented or Stomper Goods oriented. But DPS, triple DPS is definitely something you're much more comfortable with. And I think Revival this season has been one of those squads when they lost most of that Mayhem Academy core.
For sure, and I mean, you think about how they used to play tank-wise, it's not easy to replace a player of Fact Fiction's caliber, where Fact had a style that worked out really, really well alongside Manitin, and I think Boger is certainly, look, I mean, objectively, not a player on Fact's level here quite yet, but also somewhat of a different style as well, and Revival has essentially had to find a new identity, and that's a troublesome thing to do in the middle of a season, which is why I think they've had the struggle as much as they have, even with maintaining about 50% of the players that made up a very good Mayhem Academy squad.
I think Wavecheck is also he's a little bit of a diversion of a roster where they try to play a lot of this Orisa Hog setup, and they really didn't find a lot of success at times. And so now they swapped into a much more of a Somber Goods team, where they can still play to their strengths, but it's not quite the same play style that they were seeing before. As Revival, gonna be on defense first here again. Not playing triple DPS, rather having Manitin on his Hog, so Orisa Hog for Revival with Tavik on the fair. A lot of early spawn pressure here for Revival, holding close to the doors.
This is what we see pretty frequently here in Ivana, but oh, the hook! Gonna catch Tavik. And that makes for a very, very good start here for Wavecheck. Of course, Tavik dying in a spot that isn't particularly resable. And Tavik's already seeing what Wavecheck is running with, says, all right, I'm gonna go Hanzo.
Good swap for Tavik. Wavecheck, they're moving this cart forward here. And this next fight, when the Orisa Hog setup is grows, you're going to have to watch the hooks, and the hook comes out already, and Manitin, he's yoinked.
Apply firing back, though, for Revival. Gets it on the side. Both supports down.
That was beautiful. Apply.
Apply just opens up the fight for Revival, gives them some stability. Able to dodge away from the other Widow. And Apply has had moments of greatness all series long.
He has. He's looked the best he's looked all season. And Tavik, though, Wavecheck, they're going back to the style we've seen from them all season. They haven't played it as much recently, but just running this oink and yoink, always finding the hook halt combos.
And with both double snipers being down, Revival just doesn't have much left to pressure as Ice pops off, gets two off on the other side. And this has been a good round for Widows here so far. Both Ice and Apply having great moments. But that moment right there, more than enough to put Wavecheck over the top. Point A should be theirs.
I mean, also a great round for Hogs, especially Higan. Higan's also been consistent throughout the season, despite Wavecheck's lack of success at times and really their inability to execute. The Orisa Hog is when they've looked their best, and Higan has always had incredible value when on that Hog.
Apply, meanwhile, in for side up, deciding, do you flank his Widow or do you stay in the front line? And we have seen a lot more flanking Widow recently.
when you're playing a double sniper setup, it's great to always hit those off angles. As there it is, the Halt Dragon.
Halt Dragon sets up pretty well here. Wave check though, able to fight back. And now Revival, you see Apply looking for an angle here, and really a Revival giving up a lot of room to wave check after that exchange.
Revival now, they're going to have to re-enter this point. They do have the Supercharger to give that extra shield presence that they need along with the double support ults. For wave check, they have one of their own.
Supercharger v Supercharger. High damage fight between both sides. Apply gonna strike first. Higan out of the fight immediately. Resurrection though, can bring Higan back in. Comes at a cost though. Apply still so much room to work with. And just very much keep Revival in the fight. Angry Mercy right in his face on the other side. Apply not gonna fall to that. And wave check can be forced back here as Revival gets a foothold here in point B.
Apply's been having himself a series so far. His Widow consistently finding that value. And if you just always get those early pickoffs, or at least the key pickoffs during the fight, then you're just in a much better scenario. There's nothing else your team can really do because you're just already down your backline, down a lot of those damage dealers.
Wave check though, still with plenty of time here. 3 minutes left for point B. They've been saying a quick time here thus far. Next fight though, not necessarily advantageous for them.
We have to enter this point here versus the setup for Revival. You see how this rotation for Revival, they're not holding nearly close to doors. They've actually taken the opposite angle.
Hook forces Nano on the Manton early. Tvik gonna drop the Dragon to cover. Big Bionade striking 4. Wave check looking very low as a result. And Maniton was there in the whole hog, punishing immediately after Epps lands a Bionade into the back.
Apply will go down. He will get taken out by Jade there on the Hanzo. But Revival, they've won the fight. They're able to just reset up, wait for Apply here again as wave check. They're going to have to enter here. Dragon's going to be available, and you see the Apply have made the swap onto the Sombra now. So no more double sniper. Revival actually just making, they're going actually into a full, not quite a bunker setup, but they're going back to a Sombra Goats. And they're going to have to re-enter now, though, into the Dragon.
I don't think this is a great comp for the last fight here because you're not going to have EMP for this. The Dragon immediately comes in, puts him in a really tough spot. Meanwhile, Helv dominating here in the payload. At some point, Boger's gonna have to move forward, and Boger does, but just falls directly in between a rock and a hard place there, to put it mildly, as Higan and Jade, so much room to work with, and the swap from Revival there is just perplexing for the final B fight.
I see why, I see where that mentality can come from, where they're like, well, we don't have ults, we want to swap to a composition that would probably be a little bit better in the neutral fight or moving forward throughout the map, but they gave up all of their positioning. They gave up all of their positioning, all of their ult charge, and a point B is such a strong hold there for most teams on the defense. And also they were having success on that double sniper Orisa Hog comp. It seems perplexing to see Revival swap and now have to go from defending the strong choke to having to enter through the choke onto the point.
And the only upside is they built the EMP quickly. A one-fight EMP, they dropped the EMP, they hit 3. And they're able to take down the Mercy as a result. So they do buy back the first fight on point C from their swap. But I still don't know if that's really worth, given that they still could have held on point B outright.
And now they've used their EMP, and look at Wavecheck's ults. Wavecheck now, they can just decide to actually re-enter here with the Supercharger, with their double support ult. So Revival, they've already used the cup, and already they've lost Epps. They don't have a lot of their heals.
Ulting up the Nano Bastion here. Nano Bastion under heavy pressure. Revival still diving on in. Rally invested. And Revival, they rotate all the way back in the point B, and Ice just goes turret for him here and mows them down one after the other. Jade picking up the scraps on the other side, and that rotation did not work out quite well for Revival.
It did require Wavecheck to burn almost all of their ults. I mean, really every ult. As Maniton's going to get staggered. Good stagger coming out from Wavecheck. So Apply will be close to the EMP here again. But now, Revival, they're having to come into and fight against a setup Wavecheck with Iced on Bastion.
So Wavecheck setting up here on the payload, committing to the Bastion here on the next fight. Revival, meanwhile, looking to build a quick EMP. Apply about has it. It's all going to be down to the EMP engage. How Revival sets up heavy pressure onto Helv. And that was without the EMP.
That's probably the best case scenario for Revival, in that they didn't have to invest the EMP in a fight where even if they won it, they wouldn't have great ults for the following fight, and you see the point presence for Wavecheck. Wavecheck, this is definitely a time to get off the Bastion. They are going to be swapping. Going now into this double sniper setup. And even though Revival might have a comp that's not quite as synergistic, they're not running that double sniper, with the Sombra available, all they have to do is wait for Wave Check to approach, get close here and get the point presence, and they just drop the EMP, and Mantis can clean up.
You're completely right. Revival's in a really good spot here. So long as Apply lands at least an average EMP, it puts players like Vic in a really good spot. Clean up right after. And now, here comes the crux of it all. Apply to back and slapped! What a sleep! I'm not even sure if that was intentional, if he even saw, if he was just in the middle between that and another sleep dart, but regardless, he's down! Wave Check! Able to move on forward. What a ridiculous play to set the stage. And now 15 seconds left. Dragon onto the point. A late attempt by Revival to try and buy a little bit of time, but Wave Check, it's way too decisive. Jade and Hegan have the cleanup. Thick breather at 19 HP. You deserve it. Wave Check will be moving this in to the very end.
You want to talk about top 10 moments seen before disaster. Is Apply decloaking there in front of the team, and you see how split. I actually do think he was seen there and slept because he was so split. The rest of Wave Check they played their backline so far back that you have to come out of cloak first. Remember to drop the EMP. You can't just drop all your invis. And Panic could definitely have seen that while he was looking for it and hit the sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. The angle was such that it wasn't really clear because there was either one of two scenarios. Either Panic landed the sleep of his life in reaction, it was just a super top tier play, or Panic was in the mode of sleeping someone else and Apply just very unluckily ran in front, and I don't know which it was.
There's only two options there, but I'm fairly certain that it was the sleep of his life category because Wave Check were making sure to play split there, and you have to decloak. It's not an extremely fast decloak necessarily, so I think that was Panic definitely making the play, but obviously, just guesstimation. Either way, it doesn't matter what the intention was because he was slept. He could not EMP. They get the pick, and Wave Check were able to push it in.
Well, exactly right, and sometimes I think the community and even players judge too much on, well, is this the intent of the play? Well, it doesn't really matter what the intent of the play is. It's also the effects of the play. And the effect of the play there is that Apply got denied and Wave Check was able to get through. And it's definitely worth some headbanging that we're seeing right now here.
The Wave Check on this defense now are going to play Sombra Goats. Put ice onto the Sombra. They're going to hold close very aggressively on these doors. Not playing any of this double sniper setups that we've seen a lot of teams play on Havana, even first and second, but rather just going to deny the early space, build up these ults, and take the time off the bank for Revival at the spawn.
Revival immediately moving on over. Boger getting hacked for his troubles. And while Boger is hacked, no shield is up. Wave Check pressuring back the other way. Revival, though, able to shrug it on off. And Apply. Just good Hanzo damage to the right-hand side. Helv gonna fall, and Revival just easily out-mechanically playing Wave Check right now.
This is also a comp that we haven't seen in a bit, not really since Elivote and Lessard were back on Envy, and that you run the Hanzo Goats. You run this Hanzo Goat setup here, you're running the triple tank, or rather the double tank and the triple support with Hanzo, because you know that Wave Check when they're running Sombra doesn't have a diva. You can't really deny Apply's damage. The Hanzo's great at shredding all that tank health and getting a very early Dragon.
Dragon out here early from Revival, cutting off Wave Check. Hegan gonna fall immediately. Revival looking to go out with a bang rather than a whimper here to end their Contender season. This is going to be a very, very quick point A take, potentially. Wave Check deciding to go for it, but they just get chunked. Trying to go on the way out over to the payload, getting pushed further and further away. And nope, they're not going to be able to keep contesting, and it's probably a good thing that they didn't.
And Apply playing the off angles. He finds Panic as well. There could have been an early defense setup for Wave Check, but Apply is just getting so much value on this Hanzo right now. The amount of shield presence, the damage he's doing. It's a very interesting comp, this Hanzo within the triple support setup. Because well, as long as Wave Check is playing Sombra and they're not getting EMP, they're just losing every neutral fight.
Revival looking like a different team here as they try to force a map 5 to end their season. Wave Check, meanwhile, see if they have anything to work the defense. Graviton's gonna be exchanged, or Graviton in Mammoton. Helv down immediately, and just grab Dragon. Setting the stage here for Revival. And with Helv down, there's not a lot Wave Check can do. They can drop an EMP, but the fall through just not gonna be there.
They have to wait. They're gonna have to wait for this recontest. They definitely will be able to have one Ice is behind. He's ready. He's set up. Epps needs to be split, needs to be hiding. If he gets caught here, there's not going to be anything.
He's waiting. Drops the EMP. Held there with the immediate shatter. That's one way to take down Voger easily. Transcends in for Revival, not enough to save his life. He again, looking for a little bit more. Drops the Graviton, wave check. Following through on it, but Revival still setting a pretty quick time here. This is something they can be happy for. Wave check had to invest quite a bit of their ult power just to get stability here on point B.
One great thing about that re-engage for wave check is that they did get the Transcendence and the rally out of Revival. So with this support ult advantage and Maniton still not having the grab just yet, they have plenty of chances to take these fights, to sustain through, and continue to build up towards another EMP. And now it's sort of a rush to when can Maniton get grabbed. Maniton needs to get the grab. That's sort of the focal point for Revival's comp right now.
Revival working their way back in, taking the low approach back to the payload. And apply. Able to strike immediately. Juby out of the fight.
And no beat. There's no beat. Juby's down.
It's 6-on-5. It's a huge advantage here, the Revival. Again, wounded on top. Wave check. Still can transcend to buy a little bit of extra time if they want to fight for point B. Rally. About to fade here. EMP's built up, and now I think wave check. They're going to make an attempt to head back in. It's all down to Ice and the EMP. The EMP strikes, hits 5. And the rest of wave check moving on forward. Paintbrush going to be the first to fall. The fall through is there. Apply, dropping the dragon into the grab, and it's so big! Apply with 3.
Panic, he doesn't transit time. He's been watching, he was taking the duel.
And the Transcendence, as you say, it's too slow. Maniton sets up the grab, Apply knocks it down, and the Revival. They're gonna get through point B, and they are setting a much quicker time thus far.
That was insane. That was an insanely, that play should never have worked. But Panic just is not in time there to get that trance off. He just wasn't there. And the combo, Maniton, he says, we're gonna go for it, and they went for it and it worked.
Which is a risk in and of itself. There's plenty of times where, okay, you're down players already, you got hit by the EMP, you lose Paintbrush right away, you go, okay, maybe we wait for the next fight. They decide not to wait.
Very good recognition there for wave check, or for rather Revival for Maniton. Seeing how split wave check was, how Panic was still dueling Apply up on that high ground, they just said, well, I guess we could probably get this grab dragon off before Trance makes it.
Epps, early pick up to start things out here for Revival. Shatter in from hell, Voger to the ground. And that's enough for wave check, even using the beat to hop on forward, so it's an expensive fight for wave check, but it works out.
Wave check stopping the progress for Revival here, gonna hold close to the doors. Grab is going to be up for again. They're gonna also have that cycle, the famous Sombra Goat cycle here of the EMP grab. They can look to use this grab to remove the trance and set up the EMP after. They can just rally in and force the trance. They have a lot of options here to hold this cart.
Revival, meanwhile, going to be looking towards the Grav Dragon as one of their best opportunities here. Maniton a little bit away from the Grav. Revival taking a long time to set up here. Wave check pushing them back over into the spawn. And even though Revival is 2 minutes, it can't take too long to start forcing some ults out of wave check.
Wave check still holding close. You have that EMP grab available. See there, the grab is going to be used. Epps, he's going to trance, but Paintbrush, he's down.
Graviton's being exchanged. Revival's grab a little bit later. Here comes a dragon right down the middle once more. And Grav Dragon having surprising value right now for Revival.
Sort of the benefits, though, they're still taking advantage of the fact that there's no Diva on the field. There's no Diva on the field for wave check, so they can't eat Dragon. They can't zone apply at all. They can't eat the damage he's giving out. And now Revival with this push, this final push here, wave check, they're going to need to invest their EMP, maybe the trance early since they know there's no grab early.
Wave check creeping in from the back. EMP makes this a pretty favorable fight for wave check. Revival starts out with the rally to move forward. And the EMP only hits Epps and Tvik, and Epps is still completely fine. However, Voger gets caught out. Wave check moves forward right after, and it still works out for the defenders. And now things get a little bit grim here for Revival, down to their final minute.
Revival are going to be... Revival, really, when you look at this time bank, I think it's time to just push. You drop the beat, you know there's no EMP, you know there's no grab just yet. You go in aggressive, you push, and you hope the Dragon and the damage from Apply does enough.
We'll see if they decide to do that. They
can't wait too long, ZP, because if they wait too long, again, as grab, and then they're in a situation where they get stuck in the ult cycle again.
Yeah, it's the final 45 seconds. Paintbrush looking for Ice, who's actually nowhere near. Now Paintbrush going into the top. little bit of displacement, still holding on to the beat. Hasn't dropped it here just yet. Might have to drop it too. Boger gonna fall. Boger focused down, and the beat comes out when they're down 2. It was way too late of a beat. And now they're investing Transcendence Revival, committing to this fight when all is going against them. Krauton in from Hegan, the fall through is there, and that should be it.
Oh, disaster, ZP, disaster. I mean, they could have even potentially maybe had another fight if they just backed up, but instead they don't use any of their advantages. They just take so long, they drop the beat too late, and now they have to enter into the EMP and stagger onto the card.
See if they can even touch. They get over just to get shattered in turn. Wave check. Gonna be ending their contender season here with a W over Revival. Revival, meanwhile, again, flashes of brilliance here and there, but a squad that just, over the course of the season, was not able to reclaim really any of their former glory.
We see the talent, but we don't see the team. And that's really the story of Revival throughout the season, as they've lost their core, is that talent is still there, but the teamwork just isn't. Their cohesion is not. So Wavecheck is going to be coming out with the 3-1 there at the end of the season. And though they are both still eliminated from playoffs, it doesn't really change anything there. It's important to finish out the season strong. And Wavecheck, they still had, I think, a strong finish.
And one of the storylines we said going into this is that, hey, this is the last chance for players to prove themselves and show to other teams that, hey, there's a little bit of extra potential here. And I think it was a really good game, especially for Helv from the Wavecheck side, where, all right, season's over. It's a pretty good way to end your season.
It is. It's good to always end it with a win, to end it over a squad that has a lot more experienced players overall as well. I mean, also ex-Overwatch League players. So for Wavecheck, it is definitely still a W in their books. It's just not a W that's necessarily going to give them moving forward anything more in this contender season.
Well, guys, our first match of the day is done and over with, but we still have standings yet to settle. We'll be back in just a few minutes.